All right, things are things are a little bit late, as you can tell. The weekend was super busy, and yesterday, Monday, was even busier, crazier. So I'll address that. Then I want to address the fact that I got my first response for the PR. Oh yeah, for the press release. I got my first response, so we'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about where I'm at, number-wise, and what's going on in general with that. But since this is all happening so late, this should have been done days ago, 2 days ago actually, ready for yesterday morning. We're just going to do one continuous shoot. We're going to do this one, edit it a little bit differently, and just do one complete shoot like this. So let's just jump right into it. And what happened? Why am I late? So, I know any weekend that there's a game, game day, D&D, board games, whatever, it does bump into my schedule. But it's so important to hang out with friends. It's more important than getting the work done. So, I push it aside. And I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. Now, what I wasn't expecting was my medical appointment on Monday. For some reason, I had that in my book for the end of the month. So I was both happy and a little surprised when I got an email saying, you want to check in early for your appointment here, for your checkup. And I'm like, oh, shit, Monday. The last Monday of the month, that's the worst Monday for me to be busy on. I have a lot to do on Mondays, setting up the week and getting things set up. And the last Monday of every month, I go live at noon to cover viewer comments, AMA, if anyone wants to hop on and talk and chill. So it's always very hectic for me Mondays, especially the last. I didn't realize that when me and my wife booked the appointment. I'll just have to learn from the mistake. And next time, make sure that it's preferably not a Monday and definitely not the last Monday of the month. Everything's fine. Everything's good. I'm fine. I'm good. My friends, my family, no need to worry. But it did pretty much knock me out for the rest of the day. I barely got on. I barely got on last night to do the viewer comments. But now let's move on. My first press release response. So I'm very excited because I get the email and I see it's from The Patch. And The Patch, if you're not from New York City, especially Inwood, Washington Heights, it's a local. It's a city, but it's a local. And it does a lot of good coverage for local businesses and, people from Inwood and Washington Heights, the locals. So I was excited because I know that in 2021, they did a feature coverage of a local restaurant, the Hudson, New York City, because they were attempting to get into the Guinness Book of World Records for setting a new record, creating a record, establishing a record, which is what I'm trying to do. And they were trying to establish a record for the world's largest serving of mango. Okay, awesome, I guess. So it took 3 chefs, however amount of time it took, to make this dish. And let's face facts, that's a publicity stunt for the restaurant. It was, and I'm not putting it down because of that. I'm just pointing out that what they were doing was simply a publicity stunt for their business. And by the way, when you are trying to get a record for Guinness, now that I've had to go through the process, there is a difference. You do let them know whether you're trying to do it for a business or whether it is something more personal. Just to let you know how it works. So here I am. I'm like, okay, The Patch, they cover these kind of stories. I'm 3rd generation local. Been here my whole life, never even left and returned. Awesome, awesome. Open up the email from Miranda Livingston, who tells me the patch doesn't cover stories like this. Okay, maybe I'm just splicing hairs, but this is who I am, my personality. That's a lie. The patch does cover stories like this. Perhaps it's just miscommunication, though, and what Miranda meant to say was we no longer cover stories about the Guinness World Records. But to tell me that you don't cover stories like this, that's an absolute lie. 2021, you made it a major story for the patch, that this restaurant was going for a publicity stunt. Now, the reason I may say I'm bitter saying that is because, again, I'm going through the process of this right now. So if you've never looked into a Guinness World Record, especially the establishing, which means it has never existed before, and you are the first one to establish this as a world record. So if you go on their site and you look through their things and you go through the process of saying you want to get a Guinness World Record in something, if you are establishing a world record, it is very specific that it tells you that getting media coverage will help convince Guinness that this is something worthy of making a title out of. See, it's different if you're trying to break a world record, okay? So just for example, just a MacGuffin. Let's say you set a world record with 100 MacGuffins. Awesome. That's great. They verify that, and that can't be changed. You are the world record holder for having 100 MacGuffins. In order for me to break it, I have to prove to them that I have more. That's all it takes. All I have to do is prove to them I have 150 MacGuffins, and I automatically take the title. So it's different when you are establishing a world record. There's nothing to beat. There's no number. There's no fact that can't be denied. What you are doing is trying to hope that the agents at the Guinness World Record company, that they deem that what you are trying to establish as a world record is something worthy of being in their book, something worthy that society is going to care about. So it is highly important, and they make this point on their site. It is important that when you are trying to establish a world record, that you can try to get some media buzz. So I am a little bit bitter at the patch for telling me that they're not going to support my attempt publicly for trying to get into the Guinness Book of World Records, which is a legitimate attempt and not a publicity stunt. Now, you may be sitting there going, but John, it's for your YouTube channel. How is it not a publicity stunt? Well, if you take a look, me and Tom Vulu have been running this channel for 8 years now. And for 8 years, we have been happily running this as a for fun channel. No backers wanted, no sponsors wanted. This is our channel 100%. Once you start getting backers and sponsors involved, then demands start being made, expectations are held over your head. It's no longer truly yours anymore. And that's something me and Tom Vulu never wanted for the channel. If it became so popular, we would branch out another channel to monetize, not this one. So this is not a publicity stunt at all. This is not something that me and Tom Vulu said, hey, what can we get a world record for? This is something one day we realized, hey, we have this many in advance. And when I checked it out, I realized that there was no record for this. So I was like, holy shit, we made a record. It just needs to be recognized. But shit, we made a record. And meanwhile, the Hudson decides they want to do a publicity stunt for their restaurant, and the patch is like, yeah, we'll help you. Now, I'm not saying the patch knows or knew at the time that publicity in establishing a world record will help you actually establish that record. They may have no knowledge of that whatsoever. But regardless of the fact, they still use their media influence by publicly posting about this world record attempt from an Inwood business. And then they tell me, an Inwood resident, third generation, lifelong resident, who's doing this literally for fun, as something that just happened. Looking over my shoulder, it's like, holy shit, there's a world record. They say, no, we don't cover stories like yours. I call bullshit. I don't know what their politics are, so I don't know why they're refusing to cover this. But it also disheartens me because they're like the number one news outlet for anything Inwood and Washington Heights. And it really makes me feel like if they're snubbing me, that nobody else is going to give a shit about this attempt. If my own neighborhood is telling Guinness World Record, by refusing to give me media coverage, my own neighborhood is telling World Record, yeah, we don't care about this guy or the record. There's no reason for that to be a record. I do. That bothers me. So because Miranda Livingston tells me that they don't cover stories about this, they don't cover this for that doesn't match, their stories. It's like, no, that's bullshit. Maybe you changed and it no longer does. But, don't be sending me emails telling me that the patch doesn't cover Guinness World Record stories when absolutely anybody watching what I'm saying right now can, and I hope does their due diligence and goes online and looks at the patch and looks to see if they did cover the Hudson, New York City's world's largest serving of mango. And they did a great job covering it. They really did. And that, whether the patch knew it or not, that helped them establish the record. That made Guinness say, okay, people care about this. But for some reason, they'll help out a publicity stunt, but not me. So, yeah, I do feel a little bit bitter at the patch. Because now I feel like nobody else is going to give a damn if they don't. It's like, because their neighborhood, it's like, it hits me, it smacks me the equivalent of family. It's like if your own family doesn't give a shit, why the hell is anybody else gonna? Which isn't true, but it's the feeling you get. And that's the feeling I'm getting now. Because the patch just picks and chooses which Guinness attempt they wanna showcase for the neighborhood. That's not right, man. That's not right at all. Especially since, the third point I wanted to bring up is my world record. And regardless of it being established yet, I'm still weeks away from hearing from them. It's growing. It's just getting bigger. Because this is what I do. It's my passion. You can see that this is my passion. This is not a publicity stunt. I didn't wake up one morning with two of my coworkers and say, hey, what can we do to get publicity? This happened organically. That's a huge difference. And it's still going. It's still going. It's larger. It's larger now than it was. It was about 411 videos, 411 videos when I first contacted Guinness World Records. And it is already over 425. And it's just going to keep growing. Because only 5 videos out of my queue, out of my huge, sizable queue, only 5 are dropping each week. And every week, I'm uploading a minimum of 7, between 7 to 10. So no matter how many I'm losing, the 5 that is, during the week, I'm still gaining between 3 to 5 on top of my Guinness record number. Is Hudson still making larger mangoes? No. Because they got their publicity stunt. So that's what's going on. I'm currently pissed off about this, as you can tell. And those that know me, well, I'm handling being pissed off very well. I usually handle it a lot louder. But it doesn't change the fact that I am irked over this. It feels like they're picking and choosing who they want to help. I don't know. Like Brian says on the Family Guy, whose leg do I got to hump to get a martini around here? All right, thank you for checking that out. Next week's will be on Monday, unless something happens that I'm not in control of or takes control of me. So I'll see you next Monday with another update for Two Gun Pixie and our quest to get into and be recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records.